아니 좀 복잡한 자리인데 이렇게 기다려서 고맙습니다. It's very complicated today, but thank you for waiting. Our next speaker will present first, and then after we will have open discussions about the last presentations.
네, 마지막 발표에 대해서.
And and we could also discuss about all the other presentations as well. Aratola is one of the two partners of Lotec in New York City. That's in U.S. in case you never heard of it. But instead of me talking about what she has done, I can just tell you that one time we had this funny game was 2001, which was in Orléans in France. There was an exhibition, big exhibition, 90-some architects around the world called Archila. And there was also a time when the Blob and the Maya and what else is now, which I don't know, was a big hit. So we walked around the whole show with the contest, Blob against the container. So we were surprised to find that there was 14 containers and 8 blobs. So, So we were very happy to see about that. But anyway, I called her only 3 weeks ago, asked her to come to speak here because the story is that we were looking for speakers in Korea to this conference, and we had actually some difficulties of that, and I don't remember, and I probably it doesn't matter to speak who he is, but we went to see some very important Korean professor who was expert on 재개발, new developments, and he was saying, well, I cannot speak because I'm really good friends with blah blah. If I speak with you, then I'll be like forever, lose a friend. But anyway, he was very important in this 재개발 redevelopment process, and he said something like, well, we were trying to deal with Maran New Town, one of the new towns in Anyang. And he says that the problem is that the shopkeepers, business people, small business people are really opposed to the redevelopment because that they were afraid of losing business during the construction period. And that he was saying, well, the containers are the solution. They're flexible and they could serve temporary solution for these business people. It's not like the Kunsthalle in new Kunsthalle in what's the name of the new Kunsthalle in Korea? Seoul? Yeah, platform. Yeah. Or the then there is Transformer by the famous Ram Koolhaas also used the container for the office next to it. And there's a lot of other people, artists and architects, using containers as well. But as I remember, Ada has worked on this subject. It's not the only work that she does, but it has been one of her strong interests. So I welcome Aratola from the Big Apple. Thank you.
Intimidated of not being in the bubble and being in this very formal setting, but I'll do my best. Okay. So I'm one of the two principals of Lotec. I'm Italian, and so is my partner. And we moved to the States right after graduation. We actually went on a trip originally just to visit, ended up really being blown away by the kind of urban landscape of America. And I talk about the States, but I really think about the entire continent, especially in relationship to Europe. And started developing ideas on how we wanted to run a practice, and ended up doing a master at Columbia University and then staying in New York. The studio is called Low Tech, which is a misspell for low technology, and we are interested in reusing large industrial objects, the container being one of those. The practice has been shaped as an experimental practice that imports large industrial objects into architecture and transform them to respond to different programmatic needs. We've been working at multiple scales and multiple scopes as well, from conventional commissions, kind of more professional work, to art installation, to exhibition design, and the kind of underground layer of the practice being research that we do on the territory that we call urban scan, that is really a way to scan the kind of reality that we are interested in. So putting the overall of the practice aside and instead entering the world of container, which has been a huge part of our work, I will take all of you on a completely different trip from what you've seen today, but hopefully to drive some conclusions that tie, the whole talk will tie in many ways to some of the issues that were discussed today, and that APAP is about to work on. The shipping container was invented, basically designed to contain and move. Very simple operation. It was an innovation on the idea of transporting merchandise. Interestingly enough, is one of the other innovation that comes from the military, like probably 85 or 95% of the ones that we have around. And interestingly enough, I've actually discovered that they started being deployed after the Second World War, and they were used in Korea during the Korean War. They were called transporters, and they were not as formative as they are today, but military used them for deployment of special military equipment. In the US, in the 50s, mid-50s, basically they became more formative, where all of a sudden became this kind of standardized object, 8 foot by 8.5 by 20 or 40 feet. There was an epic moment where this one guy, McLean, who'd been working on containers for a while, did a trip from Newark, New Jersey to Houston with the first cargo ship with all the containers on top, and then the containers were moved from the ship to the harbor. And the genius of this format was the idea that this could be an actual intermodal exchange, so that through the container, first of all, the merchandise would not be open ever during the trip, so it would go directly from the place of shipment to the place of arrival, and then that it could travel equally on land, on water, by ship, by train, by truck, and move through all system of all mechanical system, forklifts, cranes, and so on and so forth that were developed with it. So, contain and move are a big part of our culture. Here is the shipping container as it's been formatted today. And this is kind of like the whole idea of the intermodal exchange and the way containers move on a series of systems that make it incredibly effective, very economical, but also is what has really populated our urban landscape along the waterfront and in general throughout. All this stuff, all these cranes, all these machines have popped out all over the globe in the past 20 years, I want to say.